In 1976, Yes frontman Jon Anderson released his first solo album, Olias of Sunhillow, and from it, the side 2 three-part epic Moonra Chords Song of Siege. Off with an explosion and then into a chant. Now I'm wondering if they're chanting "Hold Come a Day," "Hold Come a Day." Uh, I think I'm hearing the word "day," aren't I? Let's see. A little bit of background. Elias, yeah, okay, we all know that. It is a concept The album is a concept album in which tells the story of an alien race and their journey to a new world following a volcanic catastrophe on their home planet. Ah, kind of like something I was just covering last night, as a matter of fact. Okay, a little bit more about the story. Let's see. The planet of Sunhillow is home to four tribes: Nagrunium, Asatranius. Oh my god, these names. Okay, I'm going to spend a bit of time trying to pronounce them. Okay, here I go. Asatranius, Oractanium, and Nordranius, each of which represents a different aspect of music consciousness, which comes under threat after a catastrophic eruption of its volcano. I love that modulation right there from the chant we've been hearing for nearly the last minute now. There's so much sonic. It's a pretty full sound. A lot of it coming from instruments that I cannot quite identify. He had a really unique arsenal, and the album. One of the things I love about the album is that it has its own sound. It doesn't. You can tell it's not a Yes album at all. That said, it probably you could say that it's him extending upon some of the most personal ideas that he brought to the band, particularly "And You and I," which was always very much a Jon Anderson piece. By and large, that piece was basically a collaboration between him and producer Eddie Offord. You can maybe see there are elements of Soon in this. Some of the more pastoral sections of Tales from Topographic Oceans. Thinking side 2, which has always been kind of a personal favorite of mine, yeah. Yeah, it's like we got this chanting, we got the harmonies, we got this steamy type sound, kind of like steam engines going off everywhere. I guess representing volcanic activity. Geysers, steaming lava, that kind of vibe. Except this is Moonra, so we've already. I would imagine that the volcanic eruption happened a long time ago. These could actually be the sounds of the spaceship. I love the way, that it modulates. It goes dun dun, because it's mostly an indie dun 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 dun, and kind of variations in D. I think D major, D minor seventh, like that, and then the way it modulates up to F. Modulations of a step and a half are always more compelling than just modulations of a step. Tend to be, it gives it much more of a lift, much more of an elevation. And I love that keyboard sound, that oh. Well, it's like we've got so many keyboard sounds here. We've got that one that sounds kind of like a harmonic tone, you know, kind of a glowy tone, like, and then we got this other that's a bit more kind of pipey. Okay, I just heard some lyrics, but I am not recognizing what he just said as the lyrics that I got in front of me on the Spotify page, so scratch that. The lyrics I got in front of me say, "Hold, come a daydream, ask a flower to kneel as you pray to the runner." Okay, maybe I've got it in front of me here. On words that lie between are simply seconds of words we do not mean. Cast a pastel sky, or simply wonder until the day you die. Huh. Yeah, I believe that's what I heard him sing. Let's see, let me take that apart. Okay, worlds that lie between are simply seconds of words we do not mean. Huh, I would need to think about that one for a minute. What would be your interpretation of a line like that? Worlds that lie between are simply seconds of words we do not mean. Now, I do love great metaphors and lyrical, colorful imagery. But I might need, and I oftentimes probe, but you got to do bear in mind that some of the people that played with him for 4 decades or more, like Chris Squire, have been on record saying they never understood what he was singing about. Yeah. You be all you said, all you did, all you breathed, all you did. I guess there is somewhat of similarity musically here to some of the stuff that Jade Warrior was doing around this time on their Island quadrilogy of albums. And you could perhaps say that there's some similarity here to the Go album, the Stomu Yamashita, Steve Winwood, Michael Shreve Go album, which I've done videos on both those, both Go and one from Jade Warrior's Way of the Sun album a few months back. Yeah. What really sets this apart from Yes? Well, there are a number of things. There's basically no bass equivalent of Chris Squire. You don't hear any of those trebly notes. You don't really hear any guitar like over this anywhere. There's some acoustic on it, but it's the kind of guitar work that Jon Anderson would usually bring to the table, like on And You and I, maybe, on certain, or he would mostly in that band, I guess, with Steve Howe, around, he would mostly play like mandolin from time to time. Uh, I guess when Peter Banks was still in the band, Jon Anderson would sometimes elbow him to the side and like demand on playing certain guitar parts himself. Um, and of course, those differences aside, yeah, the drumming is nothing like Alan White. In fact, there isn't much in the way of real drumming. There's just percussion. So there's really no bass guitar or electric guitar or percussion. So those are off the table. And there is a lot of keyboards, obviously, synthesizer, organ probably, but of course they don't sound anything like Tony Kaye, Rick Wakeman, or Patrick Moraz. Yeah, and a lot of this, I don't know how much of this album is. Let's see. Oh, so this whole darn thing is self-played. I knew that he learned some instruments for the whole thing, but that picture, that group photo that he's in, like in the inner booklet, I think it was, yeah, including his wife at the time, I thought some of those people may have pitched in. Yeah, this is an entirely self-contained effort. Yeah, so it's basically just between him and engineer Mike Dunn. Wow. And, oh, Brian Gaylor contributes a bit of electronics to one track, not the one we're listening to, though. Well, if it's just Anderson trying to fill out all the sonic spots, then no way is this going to sound like a Yes album. Because, I mean, Anderson's good at what he does. And he can conquer whatever he puts his mind to. But it's, well, when it comes to playing bass like Squire, guitar like Howe, keyboards like Wakeman, well, it's kind of like apropos to what Sparks sang in their song Amateur Hours. It's a lot like playing the violin. You cannot start off in B, Yehudi Menuhin. Let's see if I get another line or two from the song. Cast a pastel sky, or simply wonder until the day you die. Okay, that seems like an incomplete statement, unless I guess it's supposed to modify the two lines before it. Um, worlds that lie between are simply seconds of words we do not mean. Huh. Maybe that means that people from the vantage point of a particular planet, put very little thought into the vast distances between, like, say, the objects they see in the sky, the stars, the other planets, and it's just like in just the turn of a head, you can span billions, millions upon millions of miles of inner space, like because each star you see in the sky is like the distance of like one solar system to another, because each is basically a sun in its own right, with its own rotating planets and such. um, Eyes have never seen, so past your future caressing all you've been. Eyes have never Eyes have never seen, so past your future caressing all you've been. Yeah, these lines are very, very oblique. And I respect that, and I really do like lyrics that challenge and get you to think. Um, and even if I can't ultimately parse where he's going, or what he's getting at in certain lines, in the end, I just I yield out of respect, and just maybe wait for the day when I get to find out whether I come across the interview where I see it explained. Maybe he said, maybe he might, and if he says there's no meaning, it's up for you. He might even say that these words are just put together for poetic sense, for because he likes the way these words sound and that they beautiful accommodate just a collage of imagery that, and I would respect that as simply kind of the art of wordsmithing. Yeah, and that's that. I think that's kind of a respect, a poetic respect that more people should understand in this day and age. It seems to be an understanding that's been lost in the 21st century. Well, I really like the rising, rising, rising swelling that we were hearing right there. Yeah. Accidentally pressed the wrong button. Yeah, the thickness, like just this kind of like sonic like overflow. Which, as you know, is probably going to spill into the next section, chords. We're kind of getting swallowed up in it. Now, like a churchy organ, a variation of the same chords we've heard, open cadence, different the louder, kind of voluminous sounds falling by the wayside quickly. Let's see, a little bit more about this story. Let's see. Olias, a magician, is the chosen architect of an ark named the Moorglade Mover to fly Sunhillow's people to a new planet. Okay, oh, so that's that, you know, that vehicle, that winged, yeah, vehicle that we see on the front cover. I also love the artwork. It's very distinctive and very much reflective of Jon Anderson's whole aesthetic. Reflects the music, and yet totally looks completely, and yet it totally looks unlike anything Roger Dean ever painted. And yet at the same time, it's one of those similar kind of worlds, you know, of like winged creatures. Yeah. Oh, I love the mixture of like piano here and keyboard. Kind of like, I think I'm hearing three tones here. I'm hearing that kind of like thick churchy sound, kind of pipe organ. I'm hearing more of kind of like a higher kind of pipey synthesizer over that. And then some like soft, simple piano on select notes under that. Oh, I think I'm also hearing like a choral setting on a synth, or maybe a mellotron. The wiki credits don't list mellotron, maybe not. Yeah. Too bad that Jon Anderson wasn't really in contact with Rick Wakeman around this time, because maybe he could have had access to the Birotron for this recording. Okay, now we're going into one of the choir moments that Jon Anderson. This is something that Jon Anderson likes to engage in. That I guess Yes wouldn't really give him much liberty on. No Jon Anderson solo album is complete without at least one passage like this, with maybe like some children's vocals and. There were quite a few tracks like this that followed this here specific framework on his next album, Song of Seven. And on Animation, concludes with All God's Children. Yeah, there's always like kind of like a choir type number. Okay, it looks like we're not really getting carried away with the choir thing. I like how he's taking over and making this more his thing. Because, I really like how his vocals are dominating this passage and really enhancing the melodic arc. Such bright, sustained synthesizer sounds. And I think also a bit of glockenspiel. Interestingly, one instrument that they list on here is the saz. Yeah, a stringed instrument, really long, thin neck, and kind of like a teardrop body. Looks like it has, what, 2 strings on it? Interesting. 3 strings, yeah. A Turkish instrument. Interesting. So that explains. I think I guess I can think of some of the places on the album where I've probably heard that. Yeah. That melody, like on side 1. Yeah. Oh no, a beautiful kind of like ambient vocal spacey moment, kind of like presaging some of his work with Vangelis. Now we're going into a more structured kind of folky sequence. Pleasant surprise because I had forgotten about this section. I wonder if the melodies that we've been hearing throughout this piece are going to start poking their way through this passage and these chords. I wonder if any moment he's going to start over that same chordal structure. He's going to start going or like one of the vocal melodies that we've already heard. That it's a technique that's sometimes been employed, well, by Yes and by Associated X. pretty good. I mean, considering the amount of time he put preparing himself for this album. And Peter Banks made a comment in one of the Yes books that Jon Anderson, back in the early days of the band, didn't quite know how chords were formed and would get the formation kind of wrong. Although personally, as I can see how a guitarist by trade would hate being sidelined by someone who doesn't quite understand the rules, doesn't quite who's breaking the rules without even understanding the rules in the first place. Because when you're in a trade, it's like you can only break the rules if you first understand what they are. But to me as a listener, I don't know, it provides a bit of like harmonic variation that can be interesting. Like if perhaps like on like maybe like in You and I, there were a few moments where the chord wasn't quite conventionally formed. Oh, that just faded away. I thought it was going to kind of link more to other. Oh, we just get a complete dropout. We don't seg in. So that was Chords. And now we're going to hear the slow rise of section 3, Song of Search. More of a misty, frosty, Arctic vibe. Yeah, this is like going really kind of more into ambient chill. You know, I bet his guest appearance on Vangelis's album, I get Heaven and Hell, that came out in '75, that album may have influenced this. And there was actually talk about bringing Vangelis into Yes. I don't know if that was before Patrick Moraz or after, but then it was just determined that the two parties were just too different. But heck, the rumor mill, I don't know. I think it was on the Vangelis website that I read that at one point. It would make sense, but then again, I've also heard somewhere that Rod Argent was at one point asked to replace Rick Wakeman. I can see why Rod would have turned that down, considering how that Argent had their own thing going. Oh, beautiful. We got like this like frosty sustained sound, windy sound, and that kind of like flute like sound. I don't believe it's a real flute. It sounds like a flute setting on a synthesizer. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a flute. Just kind of woodwindy. Definitely not a flute. Now this is somehow this is a variation of a melody that appeared earlier on an album. Earlier on the album, excuse me. It looks like there were no, this song has no lyrics, but the prior track had a bunch of them. Olias, all surrounding the storm, to caress all who fall, amidst love's light, shine out, call, so brightly to each tribe came release. Higher dreams or took the smallest hands, crystallized inside a sleep. Close your eyes, only wait for the call. Close your eyes, the moor glade. She will sail to the north, all around will delight our eyes. Now as one, we'll sound our lives to the sun, as we wait for the call to ascend to the stars, all to enter your heart to your love. Through change of dawn, see peace will come, peace will reign, all along our days, see your love. Let's see. Anything more about the plot of this? Let's see. Olias is helped by fellow magicians Ranyart, the harp-playing navigator of the glider, and Quagwak, pronounced Ko-Quake. The mystic and appointed spokesperson who unites the four tribes to leave the planet together. Let's see. Olias fashions the Morglade mover by persuading Sunhillow's trees and fish to sacrifice their lives and substance to form it. Oh. While Koquake travels across Sunhillow using trance singing to bring together the mutually suspicious tribes to unite and board the ship. Huh. Could you imagine that being done on this planet if planet Earth ever had to be? Could you imagine like Westerners going out and converting and getting like hardcore, these like hardcore Islamist, like the, you know, to board the same ship with us. Let's see. With the population on board and in a collective trance, the ship leaves Sunhillow just before the planet explodes into millions of silent teardrops. Let's see. As the glider travels through deep space, the refugees succumb to the mysterious Moonraw, a force of disorientation. Okay, so that's the part where I guess we came in. Creating an evil form out of their panic and frustration, they are reassured and reunified by Olias through his singing of chords of love and life. The Morglade mover lands on the plains of a new planet named Asgard, and the tribes disembark and go their separate ways. Their mission completed, Olias, Ranyart, and Koquake descend the highest of Asgard's mountains to sleep and become one of the universe. So I guess maybe that's this sounds like sleep. I love the chords in here. Even though it's really subtle, rhythmless, and could work at low volumes like a sleeping aid, it's still got like a beautiful chord sequence of like minor modalities, and you know, like starts off kind of in G minor and then goes through like oh, some beautiful harp here. That was Jon Anderson with the epic Moonraw Chords Song of Search, the three-parter on side 2 of Olias of Sunhillow the Yes frontman's debut solo album released in July 1976 on Atlantic Records. Yes, expanding after all the ambitious, epic albums that his band had put out over the preceding 5 years, he complements it with this masterful, self-recorded, self-performed, written, conceptualized solo release that expands on ideas that he brought to the band and takes them to places that the band never would have gone, and just for all of our pleasure, and exploration, and intriguing story, and thought-provoking lyrics. And if any of you could understand the lyrics that I read a bit more than I was able to parse, yeah, I'd like to know if there's any line in particular that stands out or that holds an epiphany or kind of like a moral truth or something. Yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from the solo catalog of Jon Anderson, see the directory of albums by English J artists linked in the description below for red hot tracks and purples from this album and several of the ones after that, including arguably his finest. If I was to pick his two finest solo albums, even though they are completely uncomparable with one another, it would be this, which is in a class of its own, and Animation from 1982, his third solo album, which really saw him moving into the newer modern era and putting out just an album that was perfectly in sync with its time and like some of the exciting newer ideas that were coming out, and like alongside some of the art pop from the time, like what Rupert Hine and Peter Gabriel and the like were all putting out at the time. Yeah, modern sound, kind of high tech in places, like great, catchy songwriting. Yeah. And then beyond that, you can also go to the Yes directory in the alphanumeric English album directory to see the Yes albums, from their discography from 1969 to 2011. Yeah, Ruby Mind, Gem Mind, and such. And go on to individual, for solo careers, go on to individual letters in the alphabet, alphabetized by first names, yes. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the track we just heard, the layers, the instrumentation, the nuances, the ambience, the tonal colors, just what instruments stood out to you, which moments truly resonate in your mind. Yes, and more about the lyrics, of course. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled maximalist, signing off.